Hello, America. We're just outside the U.S. Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. Let's kick it. This is the equivalent of one of those carry-on luggage size checker boxes that you see right before you get on the airplane. Am I alone on this? As soon as you saw that orange suit, you thought of the Steve Austin astronaut suit from 1974 or 1976. Come on, tell me. Type Steve Austin in the comments. Why? Because it's easier than typing $6 Million Man. That's a lot of letters. Now that would be a great garage sale find. Maybe garbage picking. I garbage picked Ronald Reagan's boyhood home. Why not garbage pick Nassau? This was a highly classified early warning satellite. And this is the cockpit that they trained in for days on end. This is what they call the upper deck. This is the lower deck. This is where they slept, they changed clothing, and all these little cubby lockers hold different equipment, and they got to remember what equipment's in what locker. Here we're looking at the X series. 3 of the X series from farthest to closest. We have the X36 on the far end, the X45A in the middle, and the X44A on the right-hand side. The cliff notes on an X series plane is that it is experimental. Each generation has a different set of expectations for those experimental planes to achieve. And in this generation of X-Series planes, the goal was to remove the tail of the plane. Today is going to be a very kick-butt mix because most of your tax dollars that went to the Air Force went to stuff we're looking at today. Don Murray was one of the team members that worked on the Tacit Blue. So let's hear what makes the Tacit Blue so special from Don.
Tacit Blue was a technology demonstrator developed by Northrop in the early 80s for a DARPA project. The objective was to demonstrate battlefield survivability of a highly low observable airplane that incorporated a low probability of interception search radar in a battlefield environment. The flight program ran from February of 1982 through June of 1985. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and this airplane wasn't beautiful, but like on most prototype airplane programs, the airplanes tend to take on their own names, their own slang names. The first one that the AP-1 had was the whale because of the shape of the horizontal V-tails. They're not actually horizontal, but the V-tails. And the second one was the alien school bus. It had a wingspan of 48 feet. It was 58 feet long. Endurance was a big thing, and the engineers felt that Clark Y was the proper airfoil for that application.
You've seen it before, but you don't know anything about it. Probably. Now, this is the first aircraft the United States developed that can take off and land in a vertical position. For reference, the wings are 21 feet wide. So as the generations and different models of this were upgraded over 10 years, one of those had what would be the equivalent of scaffolding training wheels. So it wasn't even attached to this yellow launch pad. But the experimental plane you see before you actually allowed us to develop jets that can move vertically and horizontally and not require so much time to stabilize, which was really the biggest hump in this project that they realized they needed to overcome to advance this technology. And 10 years after the first flight of this experimental aircraft, the Air Force shows it off to the Pentagon, and then 2 months later retires the plane and the technology. Like many of the aircraft here, I have found that they come complete with a Rolls-Royce engine. And this hovercraft, or Avrocar, is a Canadian design. John Carver Meadows Frost, aka Jack Frost, was an inventor who had this hovercar well under development with the Canadian military. One day, the U.S. military was visiting this facility to see some of the other types of aircraft the Canadians were coming up with, and Jack Frost, knowing that his project was on the chopping block, took over the tour, diverted the U.S. military to the hangar where his Avrocar was being held, and Jack sold the U.S. his design. Originally, the U.S. gave Jack $750,000, but the U.S. canceled this project 3 times. Every time they canceled it, he came back, well, if you give me a couple million, I could work on the propulsion system. And they did, to the tune of $10 million. And if the kid inside of you is anything like the kid inside of me, this is probably your favorite so far today. Weighing it at 4,600 pounds at 18 feet wide, I'll bet you Jack can do a lot better job with some of the materials that are available today. Leaving Hangar 4, headed back to Hangar 3. They've already rang the bell for last call here at the museum. I went straight for the Nighthawk F-117. The first 2 prototypes of this plane were known as the Wobbly Goblin. Ironically, the same nickname my grandma gave my grandpa. And we still don't know why. It was painted black, only flown at night, and the paint was radar absorbent. This plane did not have the ability to fight enemy combat planes. It could simply fly in undetected, drop no more than 2 bombs, and head home. The wingspan on this plane was 43 feet. The overall length was 64 feet. Its top speed was 684 miles an hour, and that was simply because the Vietnam-era planes were never used at top speed. So we started building planes at the speed that we would fight. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even put it into Mach 2 just to get to where they're going to go fight, because it wasted too much fuel. This is what I call disclosure. Let's look at all of the disclosure. Mars dirt, moon dust. You get Mars dirt for only $750. Ma'am, do you guys have the alien autopsy kit?
Alien autopsy? No.
No?
Autopsy kit?
Yeah. Will you cut open the alien and take
my
all his little
God.
parts out?
No.
Oh, you'll have it soon.
Wow.
I hope so. Damn kids! These are not real. You know how I know? Because they were not made in Battle Creek, Michigan. Yeah, I saw Barbie. She is woke. She's woke. Oh, I guess only white girls going to NASA. Ma'am, can I get the strawberry bitch?
Yeah.
Do you guys have a the Space Force? Would they be up top above that? Oh,
121.
121. Probably. I'll take 121 and 131.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Move, kid. Actually, that's a pretty good price right there. China. Gotta get over that China. Made in China. The National Air Force Museum Foundation is open 7 days a week except holidays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and admission is free.